This video is brought to you by Bitbox NES game cases. There is no better way to protect, store, and show off your NES game collection. Only available at stoneagegamer.com/bitbox. Skip it up and that up. So Microsoft Game Studios head honcho Phil Spencer was at the South by Southwest Gaming Expo talking to Jeff Keighley, and he started mentioning Fanboys. And guess what? He feels the same way I do. Except he said it a lot nicer than I'm going to in this video. Let me tell you what he had to say about Fanboys. There seems to be this natural faction that gets created around what console you own, and then this, I would call it, unhealthy dislike for people who own the other console. I love the fans that we have, but I don't think being a fan of Xbox does not mean you can't be a fan of something else. Keep in mind, this guy makes a living working for Microsoft. Or you have to be an anti-fan of some other brand. At least I'm not. I own a PlayStation 4. I play games on a PlayStation 4. I own a Wii U. I play games on my Wii U. I learn a ton from what happens on those other platforms. So do the brain-dead, brainwashed, simpleton fanboys out there who are grown married men who blindly defend a corporation who doesn't give a shit about you. What do you have to say now? Here is a man who makes his living working for the Microsoft game division. He makes a living making sure that Xbox sells, making sure the Xbox brand is doing well. It's in his best interest to be an advocate for Xbox, and he is saying, I own all three platforms. What do you have to say for yourselves? I don't understand. This man actually gets a salary from doing this. Most of you guys don't. Most of you don't. And yet you'll come on YouTube and go into forums, and I've seen people even go on review sites and fighting with other people on those review sites, shitting on the brand of console they don't own or don't want to own. You don't like a certain brand? Congratulations, no one gives a shit. Here is a guy, once again, who's getting paid a salary from Microsoft, who admits he owns all three consoles from his two competitors. He owns the Xbox One, obviously, he owns a Wii U, and he owns a PlayStation 4. I never in my life thought I would see grown men. These aren't children. I could see if you're, like 12, 13, 14, even like up to like right before you go into college, and your parents buy you one of the big three brands. You can't afford to buy the other one, so you're more emotional. You're a kid, and you're more emotionally invested in that one single brand. I get that part. You can't buy the other one, so you want to, my console's the best because you want it to be the best because that's the only choice that you have. But here are grown men I see on YouTube and on the internet with wives and children who literally come on day in, day out, shitting on, like if they're a PlayStation fan, shitting on Microsoft and Nintendo, and when their company fucks up, say for example PlayStation, and they come out with a crappy game or do a crappy business move, they will defend it till the cows come home. Oh, Microsoft has Titanfall, and even though it's scoring off the charts and has a high Metacritic rating, we had MAG back in the day on the PlayStation 3, even though no one gave a fuck about it, but we had MAG, so screw Titanfall, it's a piece of shit game, no one should buy that game. But if the game was on the PlayStation brand, they would be sucking Titanfall's metaphorical cock all day long. The bias is unreal, and again, these are men who are balding like me, have hairy chests, large asses, and are full-grown adults who literally have this bias that they cannot have objectional, rational thinking because they are so enamored with a piece of plastic and a brand attached to a corporation that gives a shit about them. A perfect example of this with E3 2013 when Sony was the second coming of Christ and Microsoft was the Antichrist because of the whole DRM shit. And Sony came out and everyone thought that Sony could do no wrong, and they were like, oh, we're for the gamers, no DRM, no this. So did we mention you have to pay for online now for PlayStation Network to actually do online gaming? But besides that, we're fantastic. And I called Sony out on it. And I said it was the video called, I think it was a major failure that Sony has committed that no one's talking about. I'll try to find the video in the billion videos that I've made and put it in the description below. And that video got so many dislikes, and people were so ass hurt because of that video. They went to instant damage control mode. The video has like a ton more dislikes than likes, and people were like, well, PlayStation Plus is a better value, and I can't, you're such a shithead. Why do you're such a Microsoft fanboy? Which I get accused of being a fanboy of all three brands when I'm shitting on the other brand. I'm unsubscribing to this channel. You're such a hypocrite. You're so full of shit. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm a hypocrite. Let's think back to when the 7th gen was in its prime. What was every PlayStation fanboy's defense against Microsoft, besides the whole red rig thing? Is that they could game online for free. But now that Sony, their savior, changed their minds and wants to require you to pay to play online, it's totally okay. The standards totally changed. You used to shit on Microsoft because of it, but because Sony's now making you pay, it's totally okay. Because you're a fanboy. You don't have the common sense or intelligence to have rational thought and say, hey, that's bullshit. Sony shouldn't do that. We used to praise Sony for not doing that, and now they changed their ways, and I think that's a crock of shit. Look, I'll be real with you. If anything, I should be the biggest Nintendo fanboy on the planet. 90% of my childhood memories, some of my best ones, are based around gaming on the NES. I remember being with my two cousins as a kid. We would go to like Playland during the summer, and then we would come home and play Nintendo. We would play like Bump and Jump and Castlevania and Contra, etc., Zelda, etc., etc. I remember getting my NES in Christmas of 85, to New Year's of 86, getting Teddy Ruxpin and the original Nintendo Entertainment System. I have amazing memories, childhood memories, due to Nintendo. But I will be goddamned as an adult who does this for a living that I will not call Nintendo out on their bullshit because I have some emotional attachment to them. Business is business, man. I'm a consumer. And when a company, even like Nintendo, fucks up, I'm going to call them out on it. And I feel that you should too. Because they don't give a shit about me, even though they gave me great childhood memories. I'm just a consumer to them, and if I stop being a consumer to them, they'll just hopefully find another consumer to take my place. I'm a number and a dollar sign, nothing more, no matter how great they made my childhood. So to all you guys and gals who constantly go on YouTube, who go on Facebook, who go on Twitter, and will defend one corporation, one piece of plastic, almost to the death, remember that Phil Spencer, who actually gets a check from Microsoft for gaming, has all three consoles, enjoys all three, and thinks you're a weirdo for being a fanboy of one brand. Anyway, folks, make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and as always, thank you for supporting Review Tech USA. Have a good one.